Oh my goodness. Good evening, everybody. Wait, can you feel this? Oh, you feel that music? The reason you hear that is because we're in a totally new environment. You're used to seeing me, Asada, doing what I do, but tonight, look below me. This is Leaders of the New Nonprofits Empowering Worlds. This is the new female solution show for Thursday nights, baby. And so we're going to be introducing the queen of Leaders of the New, Bridgett Scarborough. But before we start, we're going to take a little look at the female solution because what? We wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for the female solution. So if you don't know what it is, just take a look. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the female solution.
All right, like I said, we are here tonight to meet the founder of an organization that helps people start 501c3s. She helps people maintain 501c3s. And I know it's a ton of you out there that believe in 501c3s. You want to build one yourself. Well, guess what? You're in luck tonight, baby. Good fortune. I'm going to bring to the table none other than Bridgett Scarborough. How are you, Bridgett?
Hey, Asada. How are you?
Oh, Hercules. So I think I'm a lot sillier than Bridgett, so I'm going to, mellow out. But I think this is just such a great opportunity because Bridgett's doing something we all need. And when you're trying to form a 501c3 organization, if you don't know what that is, she's going to explain it. You need someone you trust, just period. Their aptitude, their ability. And Bridgett is that. We actually have a long-standing history together. She probably remembers it even better than me, but we've been affiliated. Girl, we got it's when you get powerful people together, you get things coming to the table. So what we're going to do, though, is we are going to explore Bridgett's life, explore like her entrepreneurial sense. When did she start becoming an entrepreneur? What was going on? So, Bridgett, I'm gonna bring you back to the stage. Now, let's talk a little bit about the beginnings of your life and your entrepreneurial sense, because that's a thing. You for some reason you have this entrepreneurial sense, but are you from Chicago? Let me get that straight. Oh, you on mute. Let me unmute you. Hold on. There you go. Go ahead.
Yes, I am born and raised in Chicago.
Nice, beautiful. And your environment in your kind of in the arts and dealing with business, it begins where? Because I even saw a book that I'm getting ready to bring to the table. Like, you got a book, and I saw that you were running some poetry set. So talk a little bit about your beginnings with the whole arts and entrepreneurship.
Okay. Well, I can't quite tell you where it's started. I think it maybe started with me not wanting to ever work for anyone. So I always felt like I wanted to be self-employed or have my own business. And from a very young age, I was creating income for myself in various ways. And the first, I want to say the poetry book that you're referencing was probably my first entrepreneurial venture. And ever since then, I've always just enjoyed creating employment for myself, creating opportunities for other people, and helping other people develop business. It's just always been something that's fascinated me. So not only have I started several businesses in my lifetime, but I've also helped other people start business. When someone tells me about a business idea, I get excited. And it's just part of who I am. It's part of my core belief system that every Black family should have a family business, and we should be a resource for ourselves. And I've always wanted to, another thing, let me mention this, when, you know, with my son, when my son and my brother at one point in their life was looking for work and it was hard to find work, I always envisioned myself employing my own family. I never wanted any member of my family to be out of work or be in need of a job and struggling and things like that. So I feel like all families should have some type of business that they can use as a foundation. Even if you have a job, or if everybody has other jobs, they still have that business as a foundation to fall back on.
Sure.
And help family members that are in need, you know. So that's always been something that's in me. That's always been a passion of mine, to not work for people and to be able to be a resource for my family.
Now talk about this book for a minute. This Renaissance of Consciousness, Poems by Africa. So y'all, that's her stage name, Africa, with a K, phonetically correct, right? So you said this was your first entrepreneurial endeavor. Yes. And what made you do it? What is that inspiration steeped in? Where'd that come from?
I was in college at the time, and I've been writing poetry since I was in high school. And when I started college at Columbia College, I started out as a journalism major because I thought, with my limited knowledge of the different types of career paths that are out there, I always thought that because I like to write, then I had to go into journalism. That was the only field that I thought a writer could go into. Okay. So I did start off as a journalism major, and I was in the work. I was working in, this was back in probably 96, 97. And I was working in the computer lab, and so I had access to all of the equipment, and I was writing poetry at the same time, just as a hobby. So when I had my downtime in the computer lab, I would type up my poems. And the one class that I took in the journalism program that still benefits me to this day was desktop publishing. Oh. And I can't tell you anything about any of the other journalism classes, but that desktop publishing class changed my life, because once I learned desktop publishing, I was able to do the design and layout for my book. And my partner at the time, who was the father of my oldest two children, he did the graphic design for the book, because he's an artist. And I just gave him the concept. You know, I told him what I wanted, and then he drew it out for me. And another classmate of mine, Corey, did the graphic design, took that drawing and put it on the computer and, you know, made it into a graphic design. And then I had another student who was in the photography department. She did photograph. I spent my own money to print it up. I printed up 100 copies. I did a book release party where I had, took place at an art gallery. I had musicians there. I did a reading. I gave away signed copies, or, you know, people purchased signed copies of the book. And it was just a whole thing, right? But this was before self-publishing was popular and as easy as it is now, you know. So it was, at that time, something that was, I didn't know anyone else that had done that at that time. You know, the internet was around, but I wasn't using the internet, and I didn't know anyone else using the internet. So this was something that, you know, I just wanted to do, and I made it happen with the resources that I had, the people around me that were artists.
Nice. Now, the thing that's so key about
that book was going to make me rich.
It will in a minute. Though, like this is that's getting ready to be like a legacy item in a minute. So don't get it twisted. I think what's so key about that is people, if you're watching, your dreams, making them a reality is a thing. And I love how, when we look at, well, how will you handle our businesses? It is steeped in you handling your own and looking at the things you had to do to establish that, right? And it's so key. So you had this book, and then, like you said, this is so key. What were you hosting shows as well? Like this looks like an open mic night hosted by you and somebody else. And how did that take form?
So this was actually years later.
Okay.
And I had been off of the poetry scene, and I ended up going to an open mic. And that gentleman, Mellow J, was the host of the open mic.
Okay.
And I came up, I performed that night at the open mic, and I read some passages from my book, and I kind of explained, it was old at that point because I pushed that book in 2001. And I don't know, I was doing this around 2005, maybe around 2005 or something like that. But this was, this had to be around 2010. So we're talking about 10 years later, 2010. And I was reading my book just for nostalgic reasons. And then Mellow J said, "Hey, would you like to co-host this open mic night with me?" I'm not sure what possessed him to ask me to do that. I've never, especially at that time, I didn't see myself as a host or thought about being a host. And but I said yes. And it was pretty successful for a while. It took place at a loft in Bridgeport, the Bridgeport area.
Okay.
And I thought that it was very innovative. The decorum, the location, by being in a loft, it was real kind of funky and cool. But yeah, I did that for, I would say, a little less than a year. I don't know if I did it for a whole year, but it was fun. It was something that was a hobby. It was fun. A lot of talent came through there. I made a lot of friends, and a lot of people came to support. So yeah, poetry and the arts and seeing people do their thing on stage is something that's always just been a love of mine. I have an appreciation for the arts.
Which makes me feel comfortable, right? Because being in the arts, being a writer, working with artists, you really, there almost can be a clash between some of those financial worlds, business worlds, and arts. Like the people in the arts not really facilitating what they need to with regard to that. But it's nice that you have a marriage of that in yourself, having the sort of a history with that. And then now coming into a world where you're helping us establish ourselves to be real business. Now, you went into a whole sort of education meeting and working with kids, but you were speaking at one point. Now, what were you talking about? We got you here doing a presentation. Looks like you're working around early education issues, or who were you actually talking to? Because I got audiences on the show and all of that. What were you talking about at this stage of your development?
So right now, 501c3, my org is a consulting company, and I work with nonprofits, and I help founders to start their nonprofit. But this is not my first rodeo as a consultant. My first consulting business was Scarborough and Associates. And so what Scarborough and Associates was a professional development company for educators. So I provided trainings for early childhood educators. And most of the pictures that you're seeing here is me at different conferences and some workshops that I actually put together myself. So it was just a variety of different trainings that I did. That was this one that you're showing now was in Wisconsin. I used to contract with a company called Teaching Strategist, so they sent me around to a lot of different states to do trainings for them. But I also have my own trainings that I developed, and I was a professional development provider for the State Board of Education, and I also, went around doing my own package trainings that I developed. I had about 3 of them.
Gotcha.
My most popular one was called Observation, so I would train teachers how to observe children and then plan for their instruction based off of that observation and what is the proper way to observe them and analyze data and things like that.
Got you. So you guys, like she said, this ain't my first rodeo. Now, I definitely have been working professionally to help others in a different capacity, right? As a consultant. But girl, I learned about you yesterday, something that just tickled my fancy. I was like, what? Why didn't I know this? You went and opened, I didn't know this. You opened a toy store? What? I was like, what? Wait, what? That had something to do with books. So I look, when you look at pictures like this and you see your involvement with young people, like, were you a teacher here working with young people?
Yes. Yeah, teaching is my trade. So as I stated before, I did start off as a journalism major at Columbia College, but I quickly switched to education because I was teaching at the time. And so that really became my passion. I ended up getting my master's degree from DePaul in education. So that's what I've teetered between teaching, entrepreneurial ventures, as well as program management, but all in the realm of education. All of my 9 to 5 positions, so to speak, have been either teaching or program management in education.
Cool. Programs. And we're so alike in that. You actually had me come out to do a workshop at one of your facilities.
Oh, you remember that?
I remember that one. Girl, I remember that one. That was live. This child, she told me something early, talk about, you don't remember you was the keynote speaker at my event? I was like, what? What are you talking about? But I do remember the event where you had me come speak, and it was a primarily Latino community. And I really think that some of them might have been bilingual, but I worked with, it was a parenting workshop. So you even had me come work with your facility. And I do remember. I got pictures of that girl. But what really rocked my boat yesterday was this. It was like, what? You got a grand opening of a toy store. So you owned a toy store in Rogers Park. And the thing about it that I loved about our conversation wasn't just it's a toy store, because I play games every day. I love toys. But you sold Black books, and you talked about your evolution into working with books. So talk a little bit about the store and its aims, really its aims and what you were trying to achieve in the community. Yeah,
so I was born and raised in Chicago, but primarily I grew up in Rogers Park. And I came to Rogers Park when I was in 7th grade. And I ended up staying all throughout my adulthood. I raised my children in Rogers Park. And so this was this toy store I opened up in Rogers Park, literally in walking distance from me. And I felt like I knew the community well enough that I thought that they would be receptive to something like this. But how it came about was, again, a mixture of me wanting to be, self-employed and I wanted to transition from being a from being self-employed to actually being a business owner where I employ people. Okay. See, that's the difference between, in my opinion, a true business actually employs people. If you're just working for yourself, then you're self-employed. So I wanted to make that transition, and I wanted to do it by doing something that I love, which is working with children and families. I felt like I'm a person. I'm a kid at heart. I love games. When I teach a lot through games. I either bring in games or I create my own games. When I had the consulting business, Scarborough and Associates, I had a training called Incorporating Games into the Community. I'm sorry, into the curriculum. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Incorporating games into the curriculum. And so what I was doing was teaching teachers how to create games to teach certain concepts to their kids and to their students. So that love just kind of spilled over to the toy store, because I just love materials, learning materials, and things that bring children joy, but also give them certain experiences. Board games I love board games. Like even to this day, I just love to play board games. And I've created a few board games. I've created card games. So this was just like, okay, if I'm going to do a business, and I'm going to do something that I love, which is, playing games, introducing materials to children, seeing children's faces light up, and providing resources to families, and giving them a place where they can actually come and interact with their children. This was right at the onset when video games started becoming real popular and online stores started becoming real popular. So to have a brick and mortar where people could still go and actually physically buy toys and engage with the community and, interact and just have that. I remember when I was a child, I would actually go to toy stores like Toys R Us. That was so exciting to me.
Right.
I don't see the bit. I don't think it's the same when you're like looking online and you're just picking toys. It's just not the same as actually going to the toy store and seeing these rows and rows of these aisles of toys, and and you can play with some of them. So the room that you're looking at right now is called the Giving Room.
Okay.
This was in the back of the store. And so I would hold events there. I had a bookshelf that had books there for the children to read or parents to read to the children. I had some cushiony seating. They could either sit on the floor or they can sit in my favorite little egg chair that was there. It's like a swinging egg chair. And then I also had a little wicker chair in the back. And so there was a variety of different seating so people can come and interact with their kids. They can sample some of the games. So I would open up some of the toys in the games so that people can sample them. So it was just really, it was a community gathering, and I would have storytellers come in. The picture you're looking at now is a friend of mine, Mutiat. She's a storyteller. She came and did she did a storytelling session with the kids. I also had a local theater company come in to do a play with the children. And lots of friends of mine that are educators came in and just read to the students.
Nice.
So I just had, I wanted it to be like a gathering place, for people to come.
And it obviously was. Look at that. I love it. I love seeing the different races rocking, head wraps leading. We got Naima Latif here says, hey, Naima, another powerful educator. Welcome to the Female Solution Host team. We are shaping the future. I know that's right. Boop, boop, boop. Thursday night is about to be lit with these types of things. And the reason we are taking this type of time, you guys, to look at sort of the background of Bridgett is because it's everything many of us are, like wanting to own a brick and mortar, wanting to turn your passions into actual businesses. Like, you've done it. You don't have to you're not going to sit there with us and be like, I don't know how real that is, because you've actually done it. Like, you've gone from idea to actual concept already, whether it was the book, whether it was the speaking in public, whether it was the toy store, so much. And I think it's so great. And I loved hearing when you talked about the authors, and you said that you were focused on bringing in Black writers, and how you weren't really familiar with all the Black writers. So talk a little bit about that experience and your finding the amount of Black writers that were coming to the table.
So how that came about was I had toys in the toy store, which mainly I got toys from trade shows. So these aren't toys these aren't like mainstream toys that you would see commercials of. These were toys that I got at trade shows straight from the manufacturer. So so they were very unique. I say that to say that books books are not that easy to acquire when you have a store. You have to go through large distribution companies, and you have to have a significant amount of to bring in books to your store. So what ended up happening was, once I opened the store, just, Allah is good. All of a sudden, I started running into all of these Black authors. I mean, and it was like they just started coming out of the woodwork. Like, I would just meet them just all over the place at the events and things like that. I'll start talking to a person, and then they'll tell me, "Oh, I'm an author. I wrote a children's book," and I'm like, "What? I have a toy store." And so I'm like, "Why don't you, bring your book to my toy store, and I'll sell it in my toy store." And also a couple of authors came to let me know about their book. So I started discovering that there were so many Black children's book authors in Chicago that I never knew existed. I was like, where did all these authors come from? How did I go, 35 years or whatever, and not know that there's so many African-American children's book authors specifically in Chicago, because that's what I was looking for, children's book authors. And so I ended up carrying quite a few independent, self-published children's book authors in my store. And because I started meeting so many, and then, one will introduce me to another. So it just became like a little network where, once, one person knew about me, they would tell their author friend about the toy store as well. And so then I would become familiar with another author. And so anyway, I ended up one time during Kwanzaa hosting a mini book fair in honor of Kwanzaa, where I had all of these African-American children's book authors from Chicago come into the store, and they set up tables, and they they talk to the children about their books, and the children can get a signed copy. They can ask the author questions, and that day they also read to the children. So each of the authors had an opportunity to read their book to a group of children. So it was just like, it was awesome. That was one of the best days.
So y'all know, when I heard that, I was like, dude, when I heard that, what? Like, and I just love kindred spirits off the cuff, but to see that some of the mission and the aims, are and were the same. I was like, are you going to bring the store back? And I love to hear you say, yeah, I want to bring it back, because I said, oh girl, I'll help you, because I think that, we just need places to share our expertise, to share our storytelling, to share our art. And so, while brick and mortars come with a lot of responsibility, it's nothing like having it to say, have it at my place. And, oh yeah, you can sell your books in my place. And I thought that was so key. Are you prepared tonight to talk about your future nonprofit, or you want to keep that under the back burner? What you want to do? You want to talk about it? What we talked about, your coming 501c3? You want to talk about it or
Okay.
no?
So yes, you went out on me for a minute, but I think what you asked is, do I want to talk about what my company 501c3 or my new podcast?
Well,
Or both?
we're going to deal with your new podcast when we come back from commercial break, which I think that's what we'll do right now, real quick. We're going to take a quick commercial break, y'all. But when we come back, we getting into the 501c3 gusto. Now, we're going to help you understand what Bridgett brings to the table now. And if you think that you want to start a 501c3, know someone who does, but you're not clear on it, you're going to get clear right now because she can help you. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages.
Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair.
Hey family, this is Charles Humphrey of MCH Publishing, and I'm here with Ashada. And we at the Soulful Chicago Book what?
This is the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair, slamming.
We getting down in Hyde Park. Just run it down, my sister. Just tell us, for the people, a little bit about what we're doing here today and why.
You know, this is the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair, and this month is very important. I feel like we don't give it the type of recognition that it needs, but beyond that, I do all things literary, and we have so many ancestors that have taken a tradition of writing and done great things. Well, we have those of us that are carrying on that tradition, and nobody knows about them until now. So the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair is allowing us to tell our stories according to ourselves for our own benefit. And it's just beautiful. I mean, she could have been here today if you wasn't here, but if you were, it's been amazing. People came in consistently, children, and we have children's authors, we have nonfiction authors, we have fiction authors. This is really good. And it's about taking our own power in our own hands and doing what we do on the literary tip, though.
Right.
I got to work, but I can't help it. Everything going to school. Now I just about bring my African shit like this. Bring it back.
That's so funny. I love them little kitty rocks. The Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair is on its way February 15th. That was one from the past, but February 15th of 2026, it will be coming back to Little Black Pearl right on 47th Street. Yay, 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 yay. So if you're an author, definitely go right to that website at the bottom, soulfulchicagobookfair.com, and go ahead and put in your author submission, and we'll start. And if you want to donate, there's a button for that too. So without further ado, though, I want to go back to the issue at hand. Where are we tonight? I want you to see this. This is very important. Leaders of the New. That is an acronym for Nonprofits Empowering Worlds. And we are dealing tonight with none other than my girl, Bridgett Scarborough. Now I'm going to put this at the bottom too. She says, schedule a free consultation at 501c3myorg.com. I'm going to just leave that there as you begin to talk. Now, this is what I would need y'all to understand. We just went over the background of Bridgett, which has in it all the makings of the development of business. So it only makes sense that now she's giving back to those of us who want to do business and the know-how. A lot of us just don't have the know-how. I have a 501c3 organization myself. I'm going through all kinds of stuff right now, getting it right, doing the IRS thing. And Bridgett has just been instrumental in laying it out. So we're going to go through some of those things in a minute, but check this out. Nonprofit support services. Don't get it twisted. This here even says nonprofit startup package, mission and program development, grant writing. Y'all hear that? Grant writing, because y'all be calling me to go out. Can I help you write a grant? No, get Bridgett. Then ongoing founder coaching and training. So, Mama, tell us a little bit about what directed you to start focusing on doing nonprofit services, because that is very specific. I find it to be very tedious. It seems so intimidating. What made you feel comfortable going in this direction?
Okay, well, again, I felt like there was a need for it. Also, I have experience with it because one of the things that has been a common thread in my life is working for nonprofits. So even though I have teetered between teaching and education administration and entrepreneurship, all of my endeavors have involved nonprofits. So all of the schools that I worked at were nonprofits. Okay. All of the programs that I worked for were nonprofits. And so I just know that world. And even when I was a consultant, an education consultant, most of my clients were nonprofits that had education programs. So I've just been in that world for a long time. Now, I have a funny story to tell in terms of what actually made me decide to become a consultant of nonprofits. I had this experience when I was living in San Antonio, where I was helping a group of brothers and sisters start a nonprofit. And I was just doing it for free out of the kindness of my heart. It wasn't anything that I was involved. It was a project that I also felt connected to. So it wasn't a situation where I thought I needed to get paid or anything like that. And so but it was my first time actually starting a 501c3 nonprofit. I had started a nonprofit before, but they weren't a 501c3 nonprofit. So I did everything that I was supposed to do. I did all of the, I stepped them through the process. I created the bylaws. I trained them on what a 501c3 is, how it should benefit us. I opened up the bank account. I established a board. You know, I did all of the fundamental things that needed to be done in order for us to apply for the 501c3. I also account. This was in Texas, so I set up the account on the Secretary of State's website. I just did all of the compliance stuff that needed to be done. But I did make one mistake, 501c3. So because we didn't get the 501c3, they immediately went and sought out a consultant. Okay. The consultant charged $1,800 to file the paperwork. I handed over to him everything that I had already done. I had already done everything else that needed to be done. All he had to do was refile and just correct that one mistake that I made. And this is a common mistake that to this day people make. And I'm so happy when I'm able to tell them, don't do this and steer them in the right direction. So he received $1,800 for refiling paperwork that I had already done 99% of the work. All he had to do was correct that one mistake and refile everything. So I was like, whoa. So I was like, you know, I'm a business person. So I'm like, people charge for this? The thing that I'm doing for free, you know, the knowledge that I have that I'm contributing to people for free. I said, people charge for this. So that actually what catapulted me into, and then right after that, the pandemic started. So gotcha. It was like either during that time or right afterwards, we went on lockdown, right? Yeah. Gotcha. And so that's when I said, and so I was already out of work because we weren't able to come back to the office. I was actually a education manager of a very large nonprofit community action organization in San Antonio. And I was the program manager for the Head Start. So gotcha. We weren't able to come back to the office. So once I was on lockdown, that's when I started making these moves to start the consulting company, because I said, wait a minute, you know, I have an expertise that, you know, people pay for, you know,
Right.
and that really taught me this was actually a industry that I can go into, and then also a lot of during that time, a lot of my friends were also starting to embark on ventures that had been dormant, and because they were working a 9-to-5 job, but now they're at home, they have time, and they're like, oh, let me explore this idea, let me explore that idea. And they were asking me about how to get started. And so I said, hey, this is an avenue for me. I love it. I love to teach anyway. That's just my background. I love to talk. I love to teach and share knowledge. So it just made sense. And seeing what he did, I was like, wow, this is the platform, you know. People are really out here charging for this expertise. Yeah.
I love it.
So
you
that's
guys,
actually the story of how I started with 501c3 my work.
I love it. Look, y'all, you don't even have to take our word. Look at the clients speak for themselves. This is a testimony. Bridgett's guidance, education, and structural support were instrumental in helping us establish Fly Choice Community NFP as a legitimate and mission-driven nonprofit organization. What? Periods. Let it be known, right? And she has people literally talking about a lot of different type of organizations. That's what I love, is that you're helping so many. Then it's not like one type of, like it's all educators, all schools, right? This is a Walk of Faith Ministries. Says Bridgett has been a godsend. She has been epic in the formation of my not-for-profit. She is the reason I have gotten my not-for-profit up and running so quickly. That's invaluable. What? Just look at that. And look at this. Not even just women or women and men. Here's a brother who says, Bridgett was an enormous help for me with my 501c3. She was very professional and knowledgeable and walked me through every step of the way. I honestly would have been lost in the woods without her. So here's the deal, y'all. Tell us a little bit about what the show is going to do. When you come on every Thursday night, what will you be focused on in terms of the type of guests you're bringing in or the content of the show? Talk a little bit about what the show will do.
Okay, so unlike this show, this podcast is not going to be about me. It is going to be about the people out here that are building nonprofits from the ground up. I will be focusing on telling founders' stories. I have been doing 501c3 my org for 5 years now. I have come in contact with so many innovators that have built nonprofits from the ground up, started with an idea. They had a passion, they had a mission, and they wanted to make a change. They have a story to tell. And so these are the people that's going to be on my show. And what I want, although all of these organizations are doing great work, and they have very needed services, but what I'm going to focus on is the story of the founder. You know, what drives them, what motivates them, what challenges do they have, how do they overcome those challenges, and it's in hopes for them to inspire others to keep going. Because in the work that I do, I've seen a lot of successes, but I've seen a lot of people also just burn out. And part of what I want to do is help to not make that happen. I want people to stay the course. So I want them to learn from those that have done it, learn from those that have been successful, so that they can be inspired, but also get real practical tools and resources and, you know, suggestions. They can ask questions to these founders and learn and grow. Yeah.
Nice.
So a lot of my guests are going to be people that I'm already familiar with, because maybe I've worked with them, but they may not be people that I've worked with, just people that I know are out here doing impactful work. And Their stories need to be told, and I want to inspire the next generation of change makers, the next generation of newbies, nonprofits empowering worlds.
Y'all see that right there? Newbies. So these are people, you do workshops online that I'm seeing, conferences online, and these were people attending your actual service, right? And so when you say meet the newbies, are these people that already have their organizations, or they have ideas and they want to make them into organization?
So newbies are twofold. A newbie can be a new person entering into the nonprofit industry who just has an idea. They haven't made any steps toward implementation yet, and they need guidance. So that can be a newbie. But also, because newbies stand for Nonprofits Empowering Worlds, you can be also a veteran newbie. So you can be a person that is out there actually doing the work, has been doing the work for years, has been successful, have grown a successful corporation. I like to use the word corporation because nonprofits are corporations. So you've grown a successful corporation, and you have systems in place. You have a team in place. You have a machine. It's operating. It is impacting, and also you are able to quantify that impact, so the people that have actually gotten to that level, that they're not just doing stuff, but it's very intentional and calculated and based off of data, and you've reached that level, then you're also a newbie because you are a nonprofit empowering world. So it's holistic. It encompasses both.
Now, speaking of which, watch this, guys. You want to talk about her laying it on out for you? Check this out. You see the key difference? Instead of distributing profits to shareholders, she breaks it down what a nonprofit is, right? So simple. And I love how you put it. Well, look at this. Starting a nonprofit isn't just about heart. It's also about handling your business like a CEO. Boop, boop, boop. Just so you know. And this is important to say. I want to make sure I say it before we go. We have some time left. But you have an event coming up this weekend, right?
Yeah. So every third Saturday of the month, I do a training called Empowering Communities, How to Start a Nonprofit and Get Grant Ready. And it basically takes you through the 7 steps needed in order for you to start a nonprofit the right way.
Nice.
It's really good to take this training because it helps you to avoid making some common mistakes like I made, 5 years ago, or a little over 5 years ago when I was working with that organization, and I was doing my first go round with starting a 501c3 nonprofit. I have accumulated, even when I first started my consulting company, I didn't know what people didn't know. So as I work with different people, I continue to build my knowledge of what needs to be taught, right? Yes. Because people come to me in trouble, or people make certain mistakes, and I see those same mistakes over and over again. And then it's like, okay, I need to address this. I need to make sure that people know this before they get into before they get up and running, so that they don't have to backtrack, because it's really a lot harder to try to correct the mistakes later on when you're actually you've already received funding and you're involved in your program and you're in the trenches, right? It's harder to then go back and start correcting things. So you want to get started off the right way, and that's what this training is. This training is just to help you avoid those common mistakes. And I do this every third Saturday, and it's virtual. All my clients are all over the United States. Yeah. Let
me show them a little promo. Y'all take note. I'm gonna show it like two or three times, but take note. Get the information. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna play it like 2 more times, y'all, so y'all can get it. It's quick, but it's informative. Watch. So what can they go to your website and see the promo for this event?
Yes.
I'm gonna put that at the bottom, guys, so that you can see the website. It says here schedule a free consultation at the website, but there's the website address at the bottom there so that you can go there and see the promo for the event this Saturday. Is that Saturday the 18th?
Yeah.
Is that Saturday?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, good. I want to we're winding down, but I want to share more of what's in store from others. You guys, here are a couple of other success stories. Holistic Birth Collective. She says 501c3 my org helped us get our organizing documents in order quickly so that we could meet our funders' requirements. So important. I just went through that myself. And then we got the Black International Film Festival. She said Bridgett has been an instrumental part of the growth, development, and sustainability of their organization. Big time. So that to me is just, it's invaluable. Now you do these, what I want you all to see is that this is the background of the show that's going to be here on Thursdays. She's going to be interviewing people that have their organizations that are founders, but I need you to see what backs all of that, like her expertise and the level, her doing virtual webinars for people. That's important. And then again, just people and what they have to say. This brother says, what is it? Smooth and Social Roots Foundation. Bridgett helped me to make my idea of starting an agricultural program for kids into a reality. Invaluable. And then we have, she says, I have been immensely pleased with Bridgett's expertise with nonprofit work startup, helping me in all aspects of starting a new nonprofit organization. She is easy to work with and knowledgeable and detail oriented. Hercules. Look, we love all of that, clearly. So I love that you have, people that are given, not just one or two people, but different genres, different races that, you're coming, bringing your expertise to the table and helping their organizations thrive. And so I love the idea of the show. I guess I want you to just talk a little bit about sort of going forward, because I know she even brought herself in my metaverse. When I had a metaverse environment, she got an office inside the metaverse. Now that means she was walking around, y'all, as a little avatar with an office and met a company in the metaverse, and they started, and you helped them with their organization. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was exciting for me. I've always been a fan of you, Asada. I think that you are definitely ahead of your time. And so you're always forging everyone ahead and telling people, what's next. I think that there's a saying that you always have: we're not doing Black history. We're not learning Black history. We're learning Black future. Right. Yeah. So so you're living in the future. And that's what I love about you. So the metaverse was something that you invited me into. I was fascinated by it. People could meet and network and present. I think you showed, did you show a concert in the metaverse? Or
I did.
She did a conference. You had some performances in the metaverse, right? Yeah, also you did a whole conference, a whole Soulful Chicago Book Fair in the metaverse, right? Mm-hmm. Where the authors could actually have a booth in the metaverse and talk about their book, and people could actually purchase their book in the metaverse. So I just was fascinated by that. So when Asada asked me to open up an office in the metaverse, I was down. I'm always down to do something that's new and innovative and learn. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So we had I had a meeting in the metaverse, and we were all avatars in the metaverse. I did a presentation, we just like we were in a meeting. Yeah, just
And
like
you started,
we
and
were
you actually helped. Didn't you help one of my authors get an actual 501c3 after?
I did, right.
Mhm.
Sandra Washington. Yeah,
Sandra
so
Washington.
she's an author that I met in the metaverse. That's right. I forgot about that part.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she became a client, and I helped her
Nice.
start an organization called Charms Medi Helps Foundation. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. That's what I love.
And
Making
she's
that
going to be one of
sense.
my guests, by the way. She's already on the roster.
Nice, nice.
I forgot I met her in the metaverse. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, that's what I love when I hear those stories. It's like you don't know until you know that these little inner workings are happening. So I know that you do have, and I want you to load her picture for us. The woman that will be coming to your next show. She already has guests lined up, you guys, for the Thursdays to come. And so talk a little bit about who your next guest will be. If you can get her image back up, that would be great. If not, talk a little bit about your next guest.
Okay,
And we got like a minute for you to just say sort of those words, what's coming up, what people can look forward to.
Okay, let me bring her picture. Let me load her picture up.
Yeah, take your time, girl. Take
Should
your
be
time.
coming in a second.
Okay. I'll take this out now.
So this.
Go ahead.
All right. So this is, okay. So this is Saida Taylor. She is the founder of Organic Oneness. Okay. She is going to be my first guest next week on the podcast. She is an amazing person that everybody should know, and everyone should know her organization, Organic Oneness. It's a grassroots social justice organization that brings people together to eliminate racism and create healthy communities in Chicago. She's been doing this for a long time, even before she founded the nonprofit. And she is dynamic. And so I'm going to just tell you right now that you should tune in. She has a story to tell. She is very inspiring. She has seen a lot. She can share a lot. She has overcome a lot. And I just think so many people can learn from her story, regardless if you're forming a nonprofit or not. You should know that this woman exists. You should know that her organization exists, and the stories that she has to tell about what she has seen in her activism, is just outstanding. So I've taken part in some of her conferences. A big part of what she does is tries to tie in the trauma that we have from from slavery and the injustices that we had historically, and how we're still suffering from that type of trauma. So she teaches a lot about that, and ties that into what's happening in Chicago right now in terms of the violence, mindset, health, all of these things that plague us as a community.
Got you. Well, guess what, Bridgett? We are out of time. I am loving everything that you've brought to the table. Thank you so much for being here. You guys, thank you for tuning in. This will be Bridgett's Spot, Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Leaders of the New, what? Leaders of the New, N.E.W., and that's Nonprofits Empowering Worlds. We love you. See you. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. And we love you, Bridgett. Peace. See you guys next Thursday.
I have to give shout out to Alan.
Give your shout out. Go ahead. Give your shout out, girl.
Okay, my shout out to Alan Sims, who is the one who did my theme song for Leaders of the New. That was playing in the beginning.
Don't have me bring it back. Hold up. Look, y'all. Check it. Wait. We're going to close with it. Look.
Yes.
What's his name?
This is the thing on, guys. This is what you hear every week.
I love it.
You hear this, you know it's me. You know it's me when you hear this.
No doubt. Take peace, everybody. Peace.
Alan Sams.
Oh,
Peace out.
All right.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jaref. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.